In life, there are very few moments that can change everything. An accident, a small victory, the moment you found your passion, something that becomes deeply engraved within you, either driving you towards the next chapter in your life, or stalling you out where you are. With a title like Overtake, whose promotional material just showed racing, I bet you thought this anime was going to be solely about Formula 4 racing. Well, you are not completely wrong, as that's what it's like in the beginning and the end of the series, but sandwiched in between is a story of our two main characters coming together and growing past their trauma of their life-changing moments. Koya was once a world-renowned photographer who was known for his pictures of people that truly said 1,000 words. But now, he is just a flash of his former self, and every time he looks through the shutter box to capture his subject, he is transported to a world of water, drowning him with anxiety, limiting him to just being able to manage photos of objects. But Koya had a moment that would drive him to facing his anxiety, with it all beginning when he was sent on a job to capture the atmosphere of a Super GT race. And while exploring, Koya sees a driver being interviewed and tries to summon the courage to capture the photo, but is just washed away in his anxiety. While mindlessly wandering around to help recover from his nerves, Koya runs into an old friend who owns the motorsport team Bel Soriso and is given a guided walkthrough around the paddock by one of the team's racers. But he unexpectedly ends up in the middle of a heated standoff between his guide and another driver, resulting in Koya being abandoned and left alone with the Komaki Motors team. And to hopefully relieve some tension, he says to their driver Madoka to do his best, but is just met with the response of "I don't need your cheers," leaving him to feel like a hypocrite because he himself has forgotten how to do his best. After taking some time away from the paddock, Koya is approached by the owner of the Komaki Motors team, who thanks him for stopping the argument. And as the conversation flows, the owner starts to pour out his hopes for this race, which is so infectious that Koya is enveloped and asks if he can experience the race as well. He's like a kid discovering a video game for the first time, his eyes so full of awe and wonder, stumbling around trying to match up the little knowledge he has to what is happening, discovering a brand new passion and wanting to learn all that he can about it. Showing that one's passion isn't a reflection of their knowledge, but their willingness to learn is a reflection of their passion. I know, sounding like a real poet right there. Call me modern Shakespeare. And Overtake does a great job in explaining how Formula 4 works in such a natural way through Koya being the audience, doing so as the pair makes their way down to the pit lane. Hearing the roar of the engines give you chills every time, these metallic beasts just wanting to stretch their legs and burst out of their starting places. And in the words of David Croft, it's lights out and away we go! My gosh, I've always wanted to say that. The race goes off to a good start like normal, but that is until a yellow flag is brought out due to an incident. And at that point, Madoka puts in a heroic drive, powering into 4th place and is within grasps of a podium. As Koya watches on, he is overcome with the adrenaline of the race, cheering Haruka on with every fiber of his being, spellbound by the hope of a grand finish. But sometimes Lady Luck isn't always on your side, with Haruka blowing a tire in the last few corners before the checkered flag, and spins out of the race, and is then pushed back to the team's garage, having the taste of victory in sight, but is instead left starving. This moment is what hooked me on Overtake, seeing someone who's on the cusp of achieving not only their own hopes and dreams, but those of others, only to stumble right before the finish line and the flood of emotions that crashes over you, no matter how strong of a face you put on. And it truly tugs at your heartstrings, and Koya is not immune to this either, being swept away and captures the moment free from all fear. Around this point, the series starts to steer away from Formula 4 and decides to start focusing on the life-defining moments, finding out why Haruka is so fixated on finishing on the podium, and why Koya is paralyzed at the sight of a person through the lens. Haruka has been around motorsports for as long as he can remember because of his dad, and before every race he used to tell him to do his best. And one day, luck was on his father's side, winning a Grand Prix and taking Haruka with him onto the winner's podium. But this was a lone memory, as his father would tragically crash during the race. But this tragedy would not dampen Haruka's passion to drive, but instead fueled the desire even more to stand on the podium once again, but this time by his own merit to honor his father, not allowing the tragic moment to halt him in life, bringing forth true strength. But don't think he simply moved on immediately. Quite the opposite. he held himself to blame for the accident, citing his consistent motivation of telling his dad to do his best, causing him to drive past his own ability. But after taking time to think and work through what actually happened, Madoka found comfort in the idea of that there are so many things that could have caused this, and it just simply happened. The series does not shy away from the genuine risk that comes along with driving a Formula Series car, showing that the pilots put their lives on the line racing these machines designed to reach the pinnacle of engineering, and the tragedy life can bring from it. Alright, I am issuing an emotional damage warning because if you're anything like me, you're about to be on the floor in a fetal position. Okay, you ready to be depressed? Here we go. 12 years ago, during his day as a photojournalist, Koya was in a rural town named Tohoku, taking photos of the locals and catching up with his friends from the past, with one of them being an older gentleman named Shozo, who has lived there for what seems like his whole lifetime. Going through Koya's pictures, describing everyone he knows, breathing into these single-shot people a feeling of life and personality. After unconsciously giving Koya praise for his good pictures, Shozo asks him to photograph him and his granddaughter, and to as well join them in this intimate moment. After which, we are greeted with the unpleasant sight we're so used to of rampaging waters every time we look through the shutter box, but this time it's accompanied by a blaring alarm, revealing that they are the waves of a tsunami. Running to see if there's anyone he can help, Koya is stopped before he's able to go into the town because it would be met with a watery grave. So, taking his camera out to scan the surroundings, he comes across a truly horrifying scene. Trapped within the viewfinder is the old man's granddaughter, running from the impending wave, being filled with fear and dread, and then sadly succumbing to her emotion, standing perfectly frozen, and almost supernaturally stares down the barrel of the camera, leaving Koya to the sight of her being swallowed by the waves. And upon his recoiling from the tragic sight, the camera clicks, engraving the moment into eternity. Riddled with survivor's guilt, every time Koya looks through the viewfinder, he sees and hears the faces of those saying, "Why didn't you save me?" He had his own Saigon execution moment, truly demonstrating that the life of a photographer only captures that single moment, regardless of what happened before and what results after. But for him, regardless of the backlash from others, he felt right to publish that photo, as so that those who were lost would not be forgotten, with Shozo sharing the same sentiment, showing Koya the photo they all took together on his deathbed, leaving Koya with his final duty to take lots and lots of photos, and releases him from his torture before passing away. And then the series just suddenly picks right back up into racing. Koya wants to take a picture of Madoka the first time he ever is on the podium, for him to be that special photo to get him back into the photography world. And because this is an anime, and as cliche as it is, Madoka does end up on the winner's podium, and Koya takes the picture. And that's where the series ends. Okay, let me tell you what I actually think about Overtake. Alright, being completely honest, this anime was kind of mid. This is the thing, the only reason why I started watching it was because it promised the idea that it was going to be a formula racing anime, and it really wasn't. Like, there's 7 to 8 minutes of actual racing, which was honestly really disappointing. It seemed like it had good ideas, but it was just too messy and all over the place to kind of hit it, because it originally starts out, hey, we're doing a Formula 1 anime, and then it goes to, we're doing something that's not. We're just hitting emotional beats, which, it was too disorientating. So in all honesty, if you've watched to this point of the video, thank you. And if you're thinking about watching this anime, kind of what I told you was really the only good things about it. Every other episode is very filler. Like, I can't remember really anything else about the series, and I've already watched it 3 times through. 1 time to enjoy it, 1 time to write a script about it, and then another time to get all the clips that I need. It was just, these moments were really cool, and I just wanted to talk about it, which I probably could have done in a less and easier way instead of this painstaking writing a whole script for, which was a whole doozy in itself. But if you enjoyed it, thank you. Yeah, there'll be more stuff. Again, this channel is anime centered because I do like anime stuff, as you can obviously see, but I want to talk about things that I actually really do enjoy. I really wanted to talk about the quintessential quintuplets, and I did because I love that series.
I did the Ava video essay because I love the franchise. So I want to focus more on things that I actually do enjoy, rather than just being like, okay, I'm going to do a whole series overview because I only like 2 things. I'm like, I'll just talk about those 2 things that I really like. And you guys obviously will tell me as time goes what you want, what you don't want, and I'll kind of figure it out from what gets views and what doesn't get views, because at the minute, people love Ava and those video essays, and I kind of do like it too because I get to talk about series I really, really like. So that'll come in the future. And also, completely random tangent, I stream on Twitch for fun. I'm not here just being like, I'm gonna be Twitch streamer. I'm like, nah, I just have fun. I wanna play video games. I'm like, heck, might as well stream it because you get interactions and it's just really, really fun. You never know what happens from it. So check that out. That's kind of like a quick little update and my real thoughts of Overtake. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for boarding this edition of the Messi Express. We have arrived at our final destination. Please watch your step as you disembark, and I really do hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.